First time going live on the KEMPIRE Daily YouTube channel. I just wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of stories that I reported on my TikTok, because you know I'm always live on my TikTok. Let me just get situated because I have stories that I want to talk about, including Robyn Dixon confirming to people that she'll be coming back to the Real Housewives of Potomac. But before we jump into the Robyn Dixon story, I did want to talk a little bit about some of the stories that I'm talking about on the new podcast episode that I'm releasing this morning in about an hour. If you're subscribed to KEMPIRE Radio on your podcast platform, head on over, subscribe, and you will get access to the latest episode. Every Friday, we have a new episode of The KEMPIRE on the KEMPIRE Radio Network, where we talk about hot topics, music, and of course, reality TV, including 90 Day Fiancé, and of course, our favorites, The Real Housewives. So speaking of The Real Housewives, I reported on this story yesterday in regards to the Bethenny Frankel, Carole Radziwill feud that happened back in season 10. I don't know if you guys followed The Real Housewives of New York City, but it's one of my favorite cities of the franchise. Well, there was this big feud back in season 10, but for a lot of us, we had no idea, even at the end, at the reunion, when they were hashing it out and it got really ugly, we still had no idea why these two women had a falling out. I never pinned them as being best friends, but they had this really close friendship where they were traveling together. Carole was always over at Bethenny's Hamptons house. Carole, to me, although she has her own money and her own fame, always seemed to be latching on to Bethenny. But according to this Twitter user, it was actually Bethenny who was trying to get a come up off of some of Carole's famous friends. So, you know, Carole has had a very popular writing career for a very long time, but she really hasn't released anything new as of late. But she still has these really popular friends. And during season 10, she talked about Bethenny reaching out to her while she was in California, while she was consoling one of her friends that lost a husband. Well, according to this Twitter user, this friend was Cassandra Gray, and her husband was the CEO at Paramount. And this was back in 2017. And they mentioned this during the show, but no one really connected this apparent story. And I want to kind of really read what this person shared. Craig Tahani on Twitter tweeted this story that Carole actually retweeted and had a sarcastic comment. Hard to tell over Twitter. However, this is what the story is in regards to Craig on Twitter. And he could be making this up, but it makes sense because their arguing and their explanations for this fight didn't make sense at all. So this is what he says in this tweet. And this tweet was on January 3rd. Where were we? We completely missed this. He says in this tweet, Bethenny had been angling for a solo production deal since she returned to Bravo. Bravo wasn't interested because Bethenny can't carry a show by herself, which we already know. She tried with the talk show. She's tried with that whole Frederick real estate show. It hasn't worked. I love Bethenny. She's one of my favorite housewives. She's great as a part of the housewives, but a show by herself hasn't really worked. I did love her, what was it? Her engagement, marriage, first year of life reality show that she had with Bravo as her spinoff from New York. But everything after that hasn't really been great. Anyways, back to what they're saying here. However, spring and summer of 2017, Bethenny finally got the go-ahead from Bravo to film Bethenny and Frederick. It became apparent early in the production that Bethenny and Frederick weren't getting along. Bethenny had pissed Frederick off so royally, he said he'd never work with her ever again. Frederick, if you don't know, he's part of that big popular $1 million listing show that Bravo has. I love Frederick. He has such a great energy, sometimes a little too much. But, I honestly never watched their show together. And you think that I would because I love Bethenny and I also love real estate, especially New York City real estate. But anyways, Anyways, the story goes on to say the husband of Carole's friend Cassandra died in May of 2017. He was the CEO of Paramount. Carole spent much of the summer staying with Cassandra. Bethenny kept pushing Carole to get an invitation to hang out with Carole, Cassandra, and Brad's friends and contact who could help Bethenny get a production deal. Bethenny was getting especially desperate as the Bethenny and Frederick production was falling apart. Carole wouldn't because she thought it was inappropriate, rightfully so. This caused Bethenny to flip, and Carole didn't quite realize that things were going awry until filming began. Carole even put Bethenny in touch with the groups and people Bethenny would be working with on her charity. Those are Carole's contacts that we see Bethenny with on the show. Oh my gosh. Carole was blindsided. Bethenny's changed attitude to Carole had nothing to do with Tinsley, Adam, or even charity work. It had everything to do with Carole not doing everything Bethenny thought Carole should be doing to help Bethenny become more famous. As I said to you before, this could be completely a made up story, but this story makes more sense than what these two women were trying to explain to us during season 10 of their feud. I don't know. What do you guys think? But this story is interesting. As I said to you before, Carole did retweet it, and this is what she said. Wow. And to think I appeared on the Frederick show. Producers begged me to do that scene in the eyeglass store. Damn, had I known it all. Ugh. I like Carole, I like Bethenny in different ways, but I'm gonna be honest, I was team Bethenny at the time because I just always felt like Carole wasn't truly authentic. She was giving off this very new personality in season 10. And I was just like, this is not the Carole that we liked before. But Carole was also one of those people that called out Andy during the reunion. And now I'm starting to see a lot more stories in regards to people saying that Andy is truly problematic in a variety of different ways. I'm still digging. I'm still researching on these Andy stories because some of the people that are saying it, a lot of you don't love and don't have a lot of credibility, including Perez Hilton, including Kathy Griffin, and Daniel Staub. So it's sort of hard to go off of what they're saying, even though I love Kathy Griffin and I actually believe Kathy Griffin more than any of the other people. But it is what it is. But let's get into some Real Housewives of Potomac stories. As you know, we've been talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac for quite some time since this new season began. It's now officially over. Everyone allegedly has received contracts. We never know these things. And I'm going to preface this by saying we never know who's received the contract unless they confirmed or when we start to see them filming. I have to keep saying that because I see the comments. A lot of you are saying, well, she got a contract. This one's coming back, blah, 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 blah. Well, as you already know, Monique Samuels confirmed that she will not be returning to the Real Housewives of Potomac for season 6 because she just values her family more. Can't blame Monique. You can't. Despite what you think in regards to Monique and what happened, she's owned up to what she did was wrong. I think a lot of people just want to see Candace own up to something in this new season. Well, she's owning up to a lot on social media. Candace released some DMs, sharing on her IG, some DMs that you guys are sending to her. When I say you guys, I mean the internets, not necessarily you guys that are watching me now. But she released this story, and maybe I can share this with you guys. This is my first time doing this on live, so maybe I can share this story so you can see what I'm looking at. So this is one of the things that Candace shared on her story on Instagram. And I can't condone what some of you guys say on social media, like kill yourself, you're ugly, spoiled, weak, trash bag, your mother hates you, Chris will leave you, you will never have kids, you will die alone and miserable. Come on, y'all. This is unnecessary. But then I also see what you guys say in regards to what Candace says on social media. And Candace isn't always the nicest. She's always telling someone to go to burn in eternal hell. Girl, how do you know about eternal hell? Candace always has a lot to say. Honestly, I get it. There are a lot of things that I see on social media that people say that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why would you say something like that? But her, who is a public figure with a name and a face, saying some of these vile things on social media, like, I get it. I'm sure she gets all kinds of comments from people, especially after this tumultuous season of Potomac. But Candace, you got to do better, girl. Even Andy said it during the reunion. He was like, Candace, you're horrendous on Twitter. And she's like, really? Like, she has no self-awareness, no self-awareness at all. And speaking of Andy, well, Andy this week says that editing is part of the reason why you didn't see him calling Candace out. Andy, really? First of all, I want to say this, that Andy is an executive producer on this franchise. However, Andy also is just one of many executive producers on this show. And I do feel he does have weight because he is a big wig over at Bravo, NBC, Universal. However, I do believe that a lot was edited out, but I also think he was receiving a lot of backlash from Twitter, and a lot of people really rallied behind Monique, and not because of the fight, but because everyone saw for themselves the bullying and the everyone ganging up on Monique, trying to push Monique out. That's why. And we saw this also on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And that's why people like Lisa Rinna and Kyle Richards are not so popular. And they're all, say, people on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Like, these grown women are blaming people on social media for the backlash that they're receiving for putting themselves out on TV. Anyways, Andy is blaming editing. He said that, during the reunion, he did call out Candace. He did hold her to the fire for the things that she said during the season, like drag me, and some very hateful things that she said to Karen off camera. I don't know if I believe that. If there is footage, okay, where's our secrets revealed episode? I thought that would have happened last week. Maybe we'll get it this week. But if you have so much footage that you have not shown, let's see it. It should have been 4 parts. This is what he's saying. He was pushing for a 4-part reunion. Okay, no, it didn't have to be 4 parts. You could have just showed the good stuff, and you didn't, not in part 2 or part 3. I just feel like, yeah, we get it. There's a lot of editing, but you edited wrong, editors. Anyways, let's talk about Robyn Dixon. I've seen it. You guys talk to me on social media. If you're not following me, it's TheKempire on everything. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on TikTok, and definitely follow me on Instagram. However, according to Robyn Dixon and People Magazine, and I will call up the article so you can see it too, if I can find the article in front of, here we are. I want to show it to you guys. The article that Robyn, she gave an exclusive quote to People Magazine in regards to her return. Robyn. So as you can see, Robyn, we still don't have any reasoning behind the hair from the reunion, but yeah, anyways. So she released a statement to People Magazine, and this is what she says to People Magazine. If or when RHOP returns, I'm looking forward to being part of the new season and returning part of the new season and sharing my story with the viewers who have been supportive of my journey and the show. Because she knows there are a lot of you guys that are not supportive of her journey or the show. But let's break this down. Let's break this down a little bit. If or when RHOP returns, why is she saying if or when? RHOP will be returning. You're the one that's if or when. I'm looking forward to being a part. And when she says part, because as you may recall, I did a whole video talking about Robyn possibly being fired. And I also said in that video, we don't know until they confirm it or we start to see them filming. The other video that I did was that because Monique decided to leave, producers went back and said, okay, we'll negotiate something with Robyn. But also behind the scenes, producers don't believe in Robyn and Juan's relationship. Can you blame them? We don't believe it. So can you imagine what they see? They see more than we do, the unedited versions, and they don't believe it. And reportedly, according to All About the Tea, they want Robyn to either have a baby or get married. I don't know where this baby part came from. Like, you want to bring a whole baby into this? Please don't. Anyways, more than likely, we will probably see a wedding if we see Robyn at all. I think she finalized her contract, but the contract, as Monique revealed in her most recent interview, a lot of times those decisions, if you're going to be made a friend of or a full-time housewife, are made during the season when they see what they have, which makes sense. Once they see what you've brought the season, then they can decide, yeah, it's enough to be a housewife. Not sure how she's been a housewife last season because she brought nothing. But relationships, I think because she has relationships with people like Giselle and other castmates, they just brought Robyn on, and she's been on since the beginning. But honestly, she hasn't brought a lot in the last few seasons. I like Robyn, and there's a lot of you that like Robyn. I like her as a person. Is she good for reality TV? No. Will I be watching the new season of The Real Housewives of Potomac? Yeah, I will. I know a lot of you are boycotting Bravo because of Nene. We talked about that. Nene is not the perfect advocate for boycotting Bravo. We won't be boycotting Bravo, but we will be holding their feet to the fire because we need them to make sure that they are treating our Black public figures appropriately and paying them appropriately. Anyways, that's it for this morning's First Time Live here on the KEMPIRE Daily YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on all my social media. That's, of course, TheKempire. Thank you so much for subscribing. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out when we go live or any of the new uploads. Have a great morning and a great weekend. And don't forget to subscribe to my podcast, KEMPIRE Radio. A new episode will be available today.